I've got some New Year's Day recipes that you are gonna love. Maybe you do this where you are, or maybe not. But here in South Carolina, we like to celebrate with some good luck recipes. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie, and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 traditional New Year's Day recipes that are perfect to ring in the new year. Okay y'all, let's get started. We have to have some kind of pork. They say pork brings prosperity. So I'm gonna make a pork roast in the crock pot. This here is a boneless pork butt roast. It's almost 4 pounds. And I'm gonna go ahead and make up a marinade for it to sit in just a bit. You can let it sit for an hour or even better, overnight. In a large bowl, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. This will help it to get tender and also add some flavor. I also added 2 teaspoons of mustard, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1½ teaspoons of minced garlic, a half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and 1/4 cup of chicken broth. Or you could just use water. Now you're going to give that a really good mix. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in that pork roast. And I just flipped that over a couple times just to make sure it was completely covered in that marinade. I had to do it carefully though, and I tried not to make a huge mess. This thing was big and I probably could have used a bigger bowl. Now I'm covering that tightly with plastic wrap. Then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for at least an hour. That'll give it some time to soak up some of that flavor. Okay, I'm ready to get it started. I took it out of the refrigerator. Now I'm adding it right on into the crock pot. And you want to make sure you get all that marinade in there with it too. And after I get it in there, I'm going to add in about 1/4 cup of water. And make sure you drizzle it around the roast and not on top, because we don't want to wash away any of that flavor. And y'all, all these foods, they say to eat them on New Year's Day to bring good luck. I don't do it for that. We do it for fun and because it's our little tradition. We get together with family and we eat good. And you'll want to cook this pork roast on low for 7 to 8 hours. Now you gotta have beans to symbolize wealth. I seen this hot sausage black-eyed pea dip and I thought it was the perfect appetizer. I'm just starting out in a large skillet. I'm browning up 1 pound of hot sausage. You're just gonna break this up and let it cook until it's cooked through. I'm gonna remove it from the heat, get rid of that grease, and set it aside. This one comes together quick. I'm starting out in a large bowl. I'm adding 1 block of softened cream cheese. And stay with me here because this dip was amazing. I'm also adding 1 cup of sour cream, along with 1 can of Rotel, and make sure you drain that. I've got 2 cans of black-eyed peas here. You'll want to rinse them and drain them. And then y'all, I forgot to put them in. I went right on into that sausage. So now I'm just adding in the cooked sausage. And also 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. And here I'm just mixing up my black-eyed pea dip without any black-eyed peas. Like I ain't got no sense. I knew I was missing something. So make sure you don't forget to add your black-eyed peas. Now I'm pretty sure I have everything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a really good mix. And by the way, if you're enjoying this easy recipe, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. It really does help me out. It lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. When you get that all mixed together, you're going to grab a 9x13 baking dish, and I did spray mine with nonstick spray. Now you just pour in that dip. And you'll want to spread it out a little bit just to make sure it's in an even layer, but it does not have to be perfect. And before I put this in the oven, I'm going to top it with 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Now this goes into the oven to bake, uncovered, at 350 for 30 minutes. I have to tell you, this was absolutely delicious. I was a little bit skeptical at first, but it sounded very interesting to me and I had to try it. I mean, I do love black-eyed peas, but with sausage and in a dip, I don't really have any room to talk though. I always mix in some Duke's mayonnaise in with my black-eyed peas. It is so good. Y'all gotta try this dip. It was a 10 out of 10. In case you're new here, I love making desserts, and this here is a chocolate version of a Kentucky butter cake. In a large bowl, you're gonna add in 1 chocolate cake mix. I'm using the dark chocolate fudge. You can use any chocolate cake mix. Just make sure it's a 15.25 ounce box. I'm also adding in a small box of chocolate instant pudding mix, along with 4 eggs and 1/3 cup of sour cream. I also added 1 cup of milk, and I just used 2%. Now I'm using my electric mixer, and I'm going to mix it until it's very well combined. I'm going to make this in a bundt pan. Mine is a Wilton 9.5 inch. Anytime I make a pound cake or a bundt cake, I always grease it with Crisco and then spray it with this Baker's Joy. And most of the time, I don't ever have any trouble with it sticking. And now you can go ahead and add in that delicious chocolate cake batter. It is a little on the thicker side, but that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. I'm just kind of using my spatula there to even everything out. Now this goes into the oven to bake at 350 for 40 to 45 minutes. And when that cake is just about done, I'm going to head over to the stovetop to make a quick sauce to pour over it. In a medium-sized saucepan, I added 6 tablespoons of butter, 3/4 cup of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of water. You're going to set your heat to medium-low here. I gave it a little whisk, and I wasn't going to do this, but I thought, why not? So I added 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I really should have added that cocoa powder in with the sugar and gave it a whisk before I added in any of the liquid. But oh well, I'll do it next time. Okay, you're just going to let this cook until everything melts and dissolves. And it should be about time for the cake to come out of the oven. So I'm taking this chocolate butter sauce off the heat and I'm going to head over to the counter with it. And here's the cake. It just came out of the oven. It is still very hot, but we're going to leave it in the bundt pan here. You're going to take something like the end of a wooden spoon, or I'm using my attachment for my electric mixer, and you're going to poke holes all in the top of that cake. Well, it's the top right now, but it'll be the bottom when we flip it over. And just make sure you leave the cake in the pan. After you get a good bit of holes poked in there, we're going to pour over that butter sauce. And I try to spoon it on. This cake does rise quite a good bit. If you just pour that sauce straight on there, it will go right down over to the sides. So I try to drizzle it in all those holes. This sauce is going to go all down in the cake there, and that is what you want. And I'm going to leave this sitting out on the counter until it completely cools. By the way, if you're new, I would really love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. My bundt cake is completely cooled here, so now I'm just flipping it out onto a cake plate. This one turned out perfect. You can leave it just like this, or you could even dust it with some powdered sugar or even cocoa powder. But I had half a container of chocolate frosting that I wanted to use up, so I just melted it in the microwave and then drizzled it over the top of that cake. You could also use vanilla or even the caramel frosting. And y'all feel free to get creative with this recipe. You can use any flavor cake mix and any flavor pudding mix. Y'all know what would be really good, and I think my daddy would really like this? Lemon cake mix with lemon instant pudding mix. Leave out the cocoa powder in that butter glaze, and at the end, drizzle over some melted lemon frosting. That would really be so good. And I've already done a video with the vanilla version of this cake. In case you missed it, I'll link that in the description box below. It was a box cake mix recipes video. You'll have to check it out. It was a good one. If you're a chocolate lover, which most of my family is, you have got to try this cake. It is out of this world good. And this is one you can make all year long. We always make some greens with our meal. They're supposed to represent money. I usually do collards, but this time I decided to change it up and make some fried cabbage. In a large skillet, I added about 8 slices of bacon. I like to use my kitchen shears and cut mine into small pieces. You're going to cook it until it's crispy, remove it to a separate plate, and then set it aside. I'll leave all that bacon grease in the skillet there. I have half of a large head of cabbage here that I chopped up. Y'all just don't pay attention to this part, and you'll see why in a little bit here. I got to thinking and I forgot about the onion. I was supposed to saute that onion in the bacon grease. So here I am now removing the cabbage. Yes, I'm removing the cabbage. I'm telling you, I had 2,000 things going on in the kitchen and I just was not using my brain this day. So to that bacon grease, I added half a diced onion and I let it cook until it was tender. And now I'm adding half a head of chopped cabbage. This just goes to show you, I am not a professional cook. I do make mistakes, but I love to cook and I have fun doing it. That's what it's about. And we all gotta eat, right? So to season up this cabbage, I added a little salt and pepper to taste. And also about 1/4 teaspoon of regular or smoked paprika. And I also added Badia Complete. It's just an all-purpose seasoning, but it's really good. And I added 1 tablespoon of brown sugar for some extra flavor, but that's completely optional. I just tossed everything around and let it continue to cook over medium heat until that cabbage was tender. Mine took about 8 to 10 minutes. When that's done, you can go ahead and add in that cooked and crumbled bacon that we cooked up a little bit ago. Stir that around and then this is ready to serve. This was so good. Love cabbage, and actually, I eat cabbage almost every single day. I love it that much. So y'all will have to let me know below. Do y'all like cabbage? And adding bacon to it takes it to a whole nother level. And to represent gold, I had to make some good old cornbread. So this did take a little turn and not for the better. This is where I messed up. In my cast iron skillet, I added 1 stick of butter, then I put that in the oven to melt. I seen someone do it on TikTok, and I will not do that again. And for the cornbread, in a large bowl, I added 1 egg. I just gave that a little whisk before I added in the rest. Making a large pan of cornbread because my skillet is a little on the larger side. I time and a half the regular recipe. I'll leave both recipes below for a regular pan of cornbread and an extra large pan like mine. I added 3 cups of self-rising cornmeal along with half a cup of oil. You're going to need about 1.5 to 2 cups of buttermilk. I like to add it a little at a time just so I don't add too much. I definitely needed more milk here, so I added a little more. You're just looking for it to be a pretty loose batter here. I really didn't add as much as I should have added. It should have been a little more runny. So you'll just want to do yours a little looser than mine. I got my skillet out of the oven with that melted butter. Then I poured in that cornbread batter. And that butter in the skillet there was a complete test. That cornbread has came out perfect all the times I made it before. I just figured it would be even better with butter. But unfortunately, I was wrong. Put this in the oven at 425 for 35 to 40 minutes. Here it is out of the oven, and y'all, it did not rise like it usually does, but it was still really good. I just ran a knife around the edges of that skillet to make it easier for that cornbread to come out. Now to get it out of here, I flip it over onto a wire rack, put another wire rack on top of it, and flip it over again. But you can serve it upside down like this if you want to. I love this southern cornbread, but my husband, however, he prefers the sweeter Jiffy muffin mix. So y'all have to let me know below, do you prefer the sweet or the savory cornbread? Next time I make this, I will not be using all that butter, and I'll be sure to share it again. Here was our whole meal. You've got the pork on there, the fried cabbage, the sausage and black-eyed pea dip with the chips. We've got the cornbread, and that pork turned out amazing. Mine was a little on the larger side though, so I ended up cooking mine for about 8.5 to 9 hours. But it was so tender and it has so much flavor. And those leftovers make really good barbecue sandwiches. And we cannot forget about that cake. It was so good. Y'all have to let me know. I'm very curious. Do you have traditional foods you eat on New Year's Day? If so, what? What is your favorite? And by the way, I just want to say, I love you all, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. And I hope you have a very safe and very happy New Year. And if you have any video requests or recipes you want to see more of, you'll have to let me know in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.